if someone walked up to you and began talking about their undergarments. This is everyday life for Sarah Blakely. In fact, she enjoys checking out what people have under their clothing. Why? Because Sarah is the founder of Spanx, the maker of slimming undergarment apparel. In 2012, Sarah was named the world's youngest self-made female billionaire by Forbes magazine and has been listed as one of Time's 100 most influential people. Spanx isn't just a product, it's a cultural phenomenon. Behind that phenomenon is a fun-loving, laid-back, confident woman who was just trying to solve her own problem and ended up a billionaire entrepreneur. We are pleased to have Sarah on the cover of this month's issue and with us here to get to know the woman underneath the Spanx, so to speak. Sarah, welcome to our set here at Success.
Thanks for having me.
So Sarah, just to help get to know you a little bit better before we explore your business expertise, and we're going to talk a little bit about the journey it took for you to get here, but if you had to just describe yourself in only 4 key words, what do you think those words would be?
4 words, huh? I would describe myself as driven, courageous, inventive, and tired. I'm so tired. But if you were to ask me that question in the 80s, my 4th word would have been funny, but I really stopped being funny in the 80s because I think I'm just tired. So my 4th word is tired, but driven, courageous, and inventive for sure.
Wonderful. So I remember reading the story that after you graduated from Florida State University that you struggled to find a job. You ended up working at Disney World. And then you thought about going to law school, but you crashed and burned on the LSAT. And so then the only job that you could find was selling fax machines door to door and basically doing cold calling sales. Explain how that experience in particular helped you when you started and went about building your billion-dollar business.
I believe that cold call selling taught me so much. It's one of the most unbelievable life experiences that I think a person can have as far as preparing you for business and especially being an entrepreneur. I mean, it definitely taught me not to take no for an answer because I was cold calling all day, every day, and only basically hearing the word no. It taught me how to get my foot in the door quickly. I learned through that job that mistakes or moments of embarrassment are usually just make you memorable, and oftentimes becoming memorable helped you get the sale. So I stopped having any kind of fear of trying to be perfect, which was very liberating. And, all of that was so helpful when I started Spanx because I heard the word no for the first 2 years of trying to get my product made. So it was a really great training ground.
Well, like me, I believe that your dad had a profound impact on you in terms of your willingness to try hard and then bounce back from failure. Tell us about that. What did your dad do or say that impacted you so great later in life?
Well, growing up, my dad would actually encourage my brother and me to fail. And so we would sit at the dinner table and my dad would actually say, "What'd you guys fail at this week?" And if we didn't have something, he'd actually be disappointed. And I can remember coming home and saying, Dad, I tried out for this and I was horrible. And he'd give me a high five and say, "Way to go." So I didn't realize it at the time, but what he was doing was completely reframing my definition of failure. And failure became about not trying versus the outcome.
So then, Sarah, tell us, what have you failed at this week?
Let's see. What have I failed at this week? I failed to stop eating French fries.
Well, luckily, there's this great undergarment that I know of that can help you out, save you in that pinch.
I totally set you up for that.
Our audio producer, Richard, here said, well, she's got an expanding market. And I said, yeah, but she's trying to create a restriction on that expanding market of obesity here. So, Sarah, I also read where you said that your father was influenced by the now unfortunate late, great Wayne Dyer, and that is where his lesson in the power of failure came from. So who has influenced you the same way that Wayne Dyer influenced your father, aside from your father, obviously?
I mean, I would have to answer Wayne Dyer. I mean, my dad exposed me to Wayne Dyer when I was 16 years old, and I had just witnessed a tragic accident, and, I lost a very good friend in that tragic accident. And then shortly after that, my parents got separated. So it was a really hard time for me at a really confusing time for most people at 16. And my dad handed me the cassette tape series, How to Be a No Limit Person by Wayne Dyer, and said, I wish I had listened to this when I was your age instead of being 40 when I discovered it. And so I started listening to it, and I listened to Wayne all throughout from 16 on. He was always in my car. All my friends would always joke at the end of, going out for a party and say, don't end up in Sarah's car. She's going to make you listen to all that motivational stuff. So he had a huge impact on me personally as well.
Well, I hope all the dads out there are listening and will have that kind of influence with their young children.